We're going to start over here, and in the beginning, this was Doc Ferris's father, James, and this is where it all started. He had come to Florida, and he put a bunch of money into the Homosassa Development Company. He was head of the Simmons Bed Corporation in Kenosha, Wisconsin. So he came here, started in Homosassa with the development company, and then because of the crash in 1926, in the mid-20s, he lost all of his money in the Homosassa thing, and so then they came to Floral City. And there's a little quote here that says, in 1926, we came to Floral City and bought the whole town. As Floral Islands Incorporated, the ink stood for, I need cash. So that's kind of, you can see what a character our Doc Ferris was. And then it goes on to continue to he takes the reins. His father had passed away a couple of years later. And he inherited Duval Island and the farm and the orange groves. So he, rather than it being an 18-hole golf course like his father had planned for Duval Island, Doc took it and started with orange trees and clearing and making it very productive in citrus growing. And here starts the roadside stand. It will show you, this is the one that we were just at over on 41. It will show you how it went from this small stand that was open air, it was an open air market, to this beautiful store that we have today. And it is just the epitome of class, and it is a very big landmark here in Floral City with the orange and white striped roof. This panel here shows one of the gifts that Doc gave to Floral City, and this is one of the ways that he was just huge in community building and community involvement. This was he built the fire station, the first fire station, which actually is just south of Ferris Groves, the store between the packing house and the post office here in Floral City. Very small, fit a fire engine, that's just about it. And then he gave another gift. And up here you will see a beautiful red fire truck. $15,000, he purchased it brand new in his hometown of Kenosha, Wisconsin. And then he proceeded to get in it and drive it all the way to Floral City. This is an end of an era. This was a sad day in Floral City and in a sad time that has passed. Doc Ferris passed away in 1975. This beautiful lady over here was Doc Ferris's wife. Her name was Harriet, and I had the absolute honor and privilege of knowing this woman and being able to learn from her as I was growing up. She was like another grandmother to me. She's passed away also, but they're both buried in Hills of Rest Cemetery in Floral City, and with a beautiful tombstone that has a Ferris wheel on it. Very appropriate. I have to tell you how really cool this is for me. This table right here is a poker table, and has a picture here to show Doc Ferris in his pretty little party hat. And this table used to sit in the house out there at the end of the farm on Duval Island. And when I was a little girl, I used to sit, my mom took care of Mrs. Ferris and helped and worked for her. And so I would sit at this table and do my homework in like the 3rd and 4th grade. So for me to be able to sit back at this table, and I think it's really cool. It's a piece of my history, along with Floral City histories that have clashed. And for me, that's very cool. So when you get a chance, come on out and see this. After Doc Ferris passed away, Mrs. Ferris still tried to keep the groves and things going, and it just wasn't working for her. So that's when she sold the groves to Southern Citrus Corporation, and that's where a new era begins. And then this will show you how the oranges froze out in the freeze, what they decided to do afterwards with the strawberries and the watermelon to bring them in to do something to take up for the oranges that they'd lost. This was a crew from one of the first, the Ferris Groves employees and volunteers for the first Strawberry Festival. And just so you know, that's me right there. And again, there's more pictures here that shows all of the people, and there's so many. Here's Dudley Calfee, who is the Ferris Farms right now. He's their manager. And just amazing. He's won all kinds of awards for the work he's doing out there. Of course, my mama and Miss Linda, she still works in the office there at Ferris's. So if you get a chance, I really would like for you to come out and see this. This is a beautiful exhibit. The pictures and the artifacts that are here are just stunning. Doc Ferris was a huge, huge person in our community, and they used to have every day a Doc Ferris Day. Everybody would come out, the whole town would come out, and he was just a delightful character that really gave back to us. So when you get a chance, come in here and look and feel and see how Ferris Groves has grown and then it fell, and then it grew back stronger. So just like a lot of things here in Floral City. So here we are. We are out actually in the middle of the orange groves on Duval Island on Ferris Farms. And we're here with Dudley Calfee, who is the general manager of Ferris Farms. This is amazing. You know, we were talking at the packing house about how you get to come out here and you get to, you know, see the oranges and being picked and then take them in there and they get washed and produced into orange juice. And then you have the store where you have your final product. And this is one of there's not many businesses like that where you can go from tree to table and see how it all works. And we're really grateful to have that here in Floral City. So Dudley, I know that you've been doing a lot with the University of Florida. What exactly is some of the stuff that you've been doing? Lots of awards we've been winning?
Well, we won an Environmental Leadership Award last year for our reduction of pesticides, our reuse of agricultural plastic and drip tube, and our recycling efforts for cardboard. We recycle about 24 cubic yards of cardboard a week when we're in strawberry season.
Oh, yeah, all those things.
That's some of the things we've done with the scientists. You know, when I came into this business, I didn't have an agricultural background. So I went down to Plant City and I talked to some of the growers down there, and I hooked up with the scientists from UF because they're on the cutting edge of technology and knowledge. They're very bright, and they have some great ideas for bringing technology and innovation around. So we started partnering up with them. And we try things on the farm. Not everything works, but you know, I tell my guys out here, if we're not making mistakes, we're not innovating.
Absolutely.
So we don't tell anybody about the things that don't work.
Right.
But the things that have worked out here, some of them have been adopted throughout the entire strawberry industry.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I was going to say. For somebody who doesn't have an agricultural background, boy, you sure have done a wonderful job. I mean, you've come in and taken over with the blueberries and the strawberries and the farm. And I, for one, personally have seen Ferris's since I was 7 years old. Yeah. And I've watched it, you know, be out of business, and then I've watched it come back into business. And I have never seen the farm, the buildings, the store itself, anything look better and produce better in years. So I congratulate you and I thank you on behalf of Floral City for that.
That's a success built on desperation. Because, you know,
sometimes that's the best way.
Well, when I first came here, we had a farm manager that had been here for 8 years, and 2 months into the job, he got killed on his motorcycle. Yeah. And we had 1.7 million strawberry plants out here, and pretty much nobody that knew how to grow them. So I had to get out here and learn to be a farmer. And it's a wonderful life, it really is. So
now with the oranges, and you know, I know that you've expanded. Other than the strawberries, you said we have 25 acres left, you said, of oranges.
Yeah, this is 25 acres of grove. The farm is about 450 acres. And back in Doc Ferris's day, it was planted pretty much corner to corner with citrus. That all was killed in the freeze of '83. So our group started experimenting with different crops. We tried melons, we tried tomatoes, and we hit upon strawberries about 30 years ago. And found out that the island environment and this hammock soil that Doc Ferris found grew citrus so well is good for growing strawberries.
Yeah, it's great. I remember, you know, it was unheard of to grow strawberries in Florida when I was a kid, and they're beautiful. I remember when, you know, when they first started, and to start in a new venture like that and in the third year or so have the best berry in the nation that was a big thing for Floral City. And you have beef too now. Yeah,
we started selling the Ferris beef in our store. It's raised out here on the island. It's Black Angus beef, no hormones, grass fed. We do grain feed it the last few weeks to marble it up a little bit, but people have really liked that local beef. You know, it's actually raised, what is it, a mile to the packing house?
Yeah,
it's raised a mile away from where we sell it. And you know, that's one thing that I've found too, is people don't realize that there is a 450 acre farm that goes with our store. You know, and you know, the things that we grow here are available there. And some mornings we harvest a flat of strawberries and you can go and buy it in the store an hour later. You know, it doesn't get any fresher than that.
Some of the trees you mentioned in the freeze, some of those trees in the '83, '84 freeze were left from the John Paul Formey Duval days.
Really?
Back from, some of the trees I remember they took out of here were over 110 years old, they said.
Wow.
And those ones that were here didn't produce fruit at the time still, but they were grandfathers, and so they left them. But then at the freeze, they had to take the rest of them out. So.
Can't imagine. I've seen photos of it. It must have been devastating.
And I remember when these were planted and they were just twigs, and we used to run around out here, and it was great. So to stand in the middle of them and see them, you know, now all these years later, so beautiful and producing, and it's a really nice thing. Another thing that Floral City is we try to promote is buy local, and you know, what can you tell me about that? I mean, you know, we all know that buying local and knowing where your stuff comes from is real important, but what do you find? I mean, what's your take on that?
Well, I think people are delighted when they know where something came from, you know, and if we can say, well, you know, these strawberries were raised on a farm, our farm a mile away from here, or this beef, you know, was raised locally. They feel like they're contributing to the local economy by buying local. They feel more comfortable in buying it, because, you know, they might know me from a community event or something, and we all trust people that we know, you know, so the things that you're going to feed your family, you want to know who grew it, and people really like that. They like to buy local. They feel like they can go to their backyard and pick it almost. It's that fresh. Exactly, yeah. Well, we'll pick it for them. They can just come to the store and buy it. You know?
Just come to the store and buy it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, well, that's great. Well, I would like to say, you know, Dudley, you were also one of the founding members of the Floral City Merchants Association, who I am now serving as the president of, but that's who sponsors the show. And I really got to tell you thank you. You know, you came into town and this wasn't your home, you know what I mean? You didn't grow up here, but you treat it like you did, and you treat all of us like you did too. So the things that you've done in the community to start the Merchants Association and the other things, I really just can't tell you how grateful I am. Not only did you come here as a job, but you made it your home. You've grown into this community and been accepted, and we're very, very grateful for that. I am as well.
There's a spirit in this community of Floral City that I've never felt anywhere else, and it is a real spirit of community.
It is, yeah.
And we all know each other. We all like each other. I don't think I've ever met anybody here that didn't have a quality that I didn't want to emulate. You know, and that's great. So it has become our home. You know, it's a wonderful place to live and work.
Thank you, friends, for coming out again today with us and enjoying Ferris Farms and Ferris Groves. I hope we've given you some helpful information, and I hope that maybe you've found some things out today that you didn't know before. There's lots of things at the museum, there's lots of things at Ferris Groves on 41, and also out here in the farm. They're doing amazing things. So I'd like to really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for taking the time to come and share our town with us and Ferris Farms and Ferris Groves. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Ferris Farms, where I'm standing. It's where we've been and what we've been looking at. The strawberries behind us, the cows across from us, and the orange groves that we were just in show a real part of the real old Florida.